So I'm here in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and I've just, on my laptop over there, put together something pretty special I think you'll like. This is a snippet of a training that I hosted. It was part of an in-person mastermind event that I did. And two of my students, Sean and James, who now have a social media marketing business making in and around $5,000 to $6,000 per month, and they're in a partnership, just the two of them. We talked through how they need to structure things to make sure that when they scale to 10,000, 20,000, all the way up to 50,000 plus per month, that they both still want to be in the business together. Because a lot of partnerships crumble and fail at a higher level. I ran a social media marketing business that got past 50,000 per month, and I had a business partner. And I learned a lot from that based on what worked and what went really well. You know, we made over $1 million with that business, but also I learned a lot about how not to do things. So in this, now if you're a solo operator or you're watching this at a point where you don't yet have a business and you're potentially looking at starting one, still there's going to be valuable nuggets in here. Because I'm going to talk about the responsibilities you have, the different tasks that you should be both focused on if you're in a partnership, but this is obviously also relevant to you if you're just a solo operator. Okay, in the business I'm running now, my consulting business, it's just me, and these same principles that I took from my agency, I use now today. Okay, so I'm going to roll this for you. Keep in mind, I had a mic attached to me so you can hear me very clearly, and I tried to bump up the volume for when Sean and James were speaking, as I didn't have a mic on each of them. So hopefully it's okay, and if you found this valuable, please do let me know. Also, in the description of this video, there'll be a link where you can sign up to my email list, where I give out a ton of free resources. You'll actually get a bunch of free resources from me immediately after signing up. So just before we head into this, I'd recommend that you click that link, put in your name and email, and you'll get those resources. Okay, hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. See you soon. One final note, I did help Sean and James get started from zero. I just want to put that in there. It's not as if they were already making money and then came to me. They both started at zero. And yeah, so far we've gotten them to 5K per month. And the goal again is to scale them well past 6 figures per year. James, you want to just call out some of the points that you had? And then we'll just get going from there, man.
I'm just getting set up to the now off the top of your head, the first one that we had down was basically just sort of wanted an overall audit of like day-to-day activities and how we can kind of improve on what we're doing at the moment, because we know that like some things we do good and some things we don't, and we'd like a bit of a sort of a your 2 cents what we do better.
For sure, because I know you had another question as well as to kind of the split, right, of what tasks and activities you're both going to do.
Figure out what we like and what we don't like.
Okay.
Like what kind of literally polar opposite, which is good. So
Ideal,
like
yeah,
what
ideal.
James likes doing, I don't like doing, and what I like doing, James doesn't like doing. So we want to try and now just have set roles, because the way we work now, we'd still do the task together, and then sometimes like, not that we clash, but it's just like you're better than this and me, why am I? Do you know that sort of way? So we just want to have set roles. James looks after this, I look after that. Just go like that.
Cool. Give me just like the rough breakdown of what like the main areas that you're both focused on.
So for me, I like the social media side of things. So like how can I say, like the sort of doing the sort of client engagement, going on the optimizing the pages, dealing. Like that. I can't get up. Good try go.
So in terms of service delivery, Sean, like would you be doing all of it? Or
service delivery? No, because James likes sort of doing the content cameras.
Okay.
So, but like I like looking at to see, like, say what's trending, what's going on.
Okay.
Like using social media, seeing what the latest trends are, seeing what we could make. Do you ever see like on TikTok if there's a trend? Can we capitalize on that for a client? What can we do? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I have here in terms of me, so social media research, staying up to date with trends, knowing what works on platforms, dealing with the clients in sort of like awkward situations. You know, like if a client wants to give out, or if there's a situation that needs to be diffused or anything like that. I like doing that side of it, jumping on and having them sort of awkward conversations. I don't mind doing that. In terms of then on James' side of things, he likes the onboarding and the client management. So you know, like building out the actual processes of like what's going on. James is good at that. Like where he'd be like, recording the videos. The client should do this when they come on board. The client should do this.
I just don't really like Sean's kind of, the only time I like dealing with people is in the sales process. After that, I really don't want to talk to you. I don't have to. I just don't like it.
Understandable.
Social media, hate social media so much. Hate going, like, listen, I go on TikTok at night, reading, so I have few scrolls, but when it comes to, like, I just don't like that sort of thought. It's not for me. Even posting, I think posting's a chore, and anyways, like, there's some tasks within that, Adam, that we know eventually we're going to be able to hand off to some fella
for sure.
or something. Like that, like social media, client relation manager, or say a VA to do the posting. But until we get to that point, we want to have a split. Do you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
Because like when it comes to say like I built out the onboarding process. Obviously, I gave Sean an overview, but like that process, I've done it, and I said, "This is it. What do you think?" Do you know what I mean? Same with kind of like any automations that I set up. I build them out, and we get an overview. Like at the start, we were trying to build an automation together, and we were just getting an argument. Because like that should do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But that's like one of the issues that we find. Like we're both on task, and then we both have an opinion. Yeah. Because of course you're gonna have an opinion.
Man. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
He's just better at things than me, and I'm better at things than him. So we're trying to.
Yeah. And in terms of sales, then, are you both still?
Yeah, we're both still gonna do the sales 100% because it just like right now it just makes sense. So like if I have a spare 20 minutes, like of course I have a spare 20 minutes to send out a proposal. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it would be silly.
Question on that then. So say, obviously you've got the process that you said for onboarding, so you've built that out. It's pretty set. But then Sean is stepping in if there's issues. Is there kind of like a formalized, if I sign up with you, like I've my sales call with you, do I get introduced to Sean in a certain way? How does that kind of work? Just to...
So like we walk them on in it. There's like an introduction to myself and Sean.
Perfect.
We're going to, I think we'll start doing kind of onboardings, and like I said, I'm going to set you up a call. The onboarding call will be with me and Sean, and then like whereas he'll introduce me or I'll introduce him. Where like at the start it was very much I signed them, I'll deal with them,
you do the call.
But then it was a case of where like I wasn't available, like or he wasn't, like I didn't know what was going on with his clients, or he didn't know what was going on with mine. Do you know what I mean? Where now that's a bit more streamlined, and that's I think what we are kind of attacking this as two individuals, not as in like an agency sort. Do you know what I mean? And not really knowing what he's doing or not knowing what I'm doing, other than proposals.
It's very similar to a guy I interviewed, Aaron, I think Dylan, you know him, Aaron Lawless, where he's got a business partner. They're doing about 12k a month, but like they kind of operate as freelancers within the business. Like they're both very much, if Aaron brings on a client, it's kind of like he just serves that client. I don't think that's the way to do it, because then you're just two freelancers.
It's very much the case, like it's not any way out of control right now, but like I'm very much in the mindset of like, right, we have like 6 or 7 clients now. When we get to say like 30,
100%, man. Cracks will start to show.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
We want to play to each other's strengths. Like it's been obvious since we're doing this. He's better at certain things than me, and I'm okay at certain things. And it's better off just you folks and play to each other's strengths, and then we can whatever we need to do in the middle, we'll do in the middle. I don't know exactly like what role. Like is it just we write out the task and you give me his task? Is it a role like Sean, you're the whatever role that is? What way do we sort of do this?
Break it down. To be honest, man, like the way I'd approach this is start with kind of your, like a company hierarchy, where you've kind of got literally the divisions mapped out. If you've got sales, you've got service delivery, you can map out a million of them, right? But we'll just keep it simple. We'll just go with marketing, sales. So marketing being outreach, so Upwork for you guys currently. Sales, the calls you're doing, and then operations. Now, obviously operations is a big fucking one, right? Like you've got client communication, you've got client issues, you've got all of this. So I think if we focus in on that one in the operations and break that down, that's where I would start. To give you some context, so me and my business partner, when we got to, I'd say it was around 10k a month, where we had that kind of official, like, right, what are you doing? What am I doing? We decided I was marketing and sales, so outreach, getting clients, and very similar to, as you mentioned, like once clients came in, I didn't really have contact. I was in the group with them. Of course, I would chime in if I had a strategy for a fitness coach I just talked to that was relevant, but it wasn't my job. You know what I mean? Okay. That was very much business partner's job, was manage the team, manage clients, make sure they're getting what they paid for, and results are good. That worked pretty well for us. So I guess the question I'd have is, would you be open to something like that? Because obviously where you're at right now is your boat on sales and marketing, which I don't see a big issue with. But again, at scale, I can see that might get a little bit of crosswires, because then operations, for example, if Sean was to take all of operations, that the balance would be way off. It'd be like a 70-30 split, you know?
That's where we're kind of like, at the moment, like if one person just does the outreach and the sales, I feel like there's like, it's an uneven split of work.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Because like, there's only a couple of clients there, so it's like,
and
like, I'd be like, here, I'm at the, this is all done, and then I'm kind of like sitting idle, and like, if he was only doing sales, I'd be expecting, like, there's a lot to expect on that, do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially in the early days of like, you want to keep on increasing your revenue, like, how many demi-hooks did you send out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for the time being, we're coming in, we've had this conversation, we know Adam has this somewhere, like, we want to both down the sales, so but we just don't know how to, like, see, you know, like the little task of like posting and scheduling, all that stuff, like, how do you split that up? Like, do you just say, you do that, or do you just give that to one of us, or do you actually much better off getting a little...
Before you do that though, I think it's good to, you guys handle those tasks, then you can get somebody in from there. All right, so if we're clear on marketing and sales, you're still going to split. Yeah, you're happy to do that. Which, again, like say in my case, the reason we were so, I guess, kind of bullish on splitting that completely, my business partner hated sales. You know what I mean? Like, he absolutely hated it, whereas I liked it. So I was like, all right, cool. That makes sense. That's my strength, his weakness. So for you guys, I think then it makes sense if we just look at the operation overall, how can we split that up more evenly? Just to give you some rough thoughts, so operation, I'm going to look at this for processes, systems, which I guess that's kind of leaning towards James, okay, so onboarding processes, SOPs. The next step then we've got obviously is team. So the team right now is a couple of designers, right?
You have Sadek. Three designers,
three.
One graphic designer and two video editors.
Okay. Perfect. Obviously down the line you are going to get people in like VAs, people posting, all of this of like research. Eventually you might have somebody doing all of that, but for now I would definitely do it yourselves. So the team then, the question I have here is, you know, is one of you better at this section? Managing the team?
I like that, yeah. I like the lads on the call and seeing how they get on.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, good. Let's just put down an S there. In terms of, I guess, the admin, who's doing the admin? So when I mean admin, I mean like tracking when clients are paying the team. That's you? Okay, cool. Because like that might seem like a small thing, man, but to me this is huge, because if this is not done, you know what I mean, to the level it should be done, everything else is a mess. So like, for example, in my partnership, I was on admin. You know, because it kind of linked to, if I'm bringing clients in and I was also doing onboarding processes, well then I'm going to be the one managing the system of admin, you know, because if we have a client that misses a payment and business partner just doesn't see it because it's not his forte, he's not checking it, man, that's a client missed, like, you know what I mean? We can't afford to just miss a client payment. Or like that, if you have it due for the 6th of the month and we just, you know, at the end of the month we check if they paid or not, that's, you know, that doesn't work. We need to check the day it's due, is it paid? So admin, like this, that's also going to grow, James. Like obviously the more clients you get, the more team you have, that scales with it. The more systems, it's going to get a bigger thing. So like right now, I'm sure it's nothing too crazy, maybe a few hours a month, but it'll definitely grow with time. The next part then really, I guess, is the actual delivery. So I'll clear this off in a minute. We can take a photo and we can move on, right? But like the actual delivery. So what I mean by that is more like what you said, Sean, of like pages optimization, spotting trends. And like this is a funny one. I remember me and my business partner, there was a point where like he would literally like dedicated time to scroll on social media each day. And at the start I was like, man, that's ridiculous. Like we're running this business, we're trying to scale it, and you're going to put a time block each day to scroll on Instagram. That just sounds kind of stupid. But it made so much sense because like he had to. It meant that he was spotting trends, he was seeing what client competitors were doing. Like a little thing you could do if you want to formalize this process even a little bit more, Sean, is like I think we just did it on the agency page that we had on Instagram. We just have a separate page and just follow all your clients and then follow all their competitors. And like that's your feed. So like when you scroll, it's, you know, it's not mindless, it's not aimless. It's very much, I'm going to see what we're doing, make sure that's all doing well, but also the competitors. And again, like what I'm trying to get at here is if we can formalize these into like very clear-cut activities that you see on your calendar, and it's like 1 hour a day or 2 hours a week on a Friday, then you can start to outsource it. You get me? Whereas if it's kind of a mix right now and it's not clearly defined, yeah, of course you're going to feel a little bit confused. You're also going to feel like you're probably doing these things, but it's a waste of time when it's actually really important. And then when you go to outsource it, it's like, where do I even start?
That's what this whole stems from, trying to split up the roles, because the days are just so inconsistent.
Yeah.
So you want to like get a bit of consistency and boring, so like each day goes the same.
So I'm going to clear this in a second. We're gonna dive into this one in a little bit more detail, all right? So I'll just take a photo at each stage, just to make sure if anybody misses notes that we have it all there. Cool. If anybody has any thoughts on this, by the way, just obviously hop in. Any opinion is valid and is
I was just going to say,
needed.
the point on inconsistent days, I feel like that. I'm like, okay, I more or less know what I'm doing. But at the same time, then I'm like, oh, that graphic, like, you still have a few little tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the way you're describing it, it's kind of like a spider. There's all these different legs.
Yeah.
That's great.
For sure.
Just to hear it from another person.
Even I did this, I think about 2 weeks ago. I just created like a very basic to-do list that I need to follow each day. Because it's things I do every day, and it's little things like that of like research, admin, bits and pieces. And when I do them, it feels like I'm just wasting time, but I know they need to be done. Like it feels unproductive. But now by just having it as a little list each day, it's in on the calendar 1 or 2 hours, and I tick them off and actually feel very productive now, you know? So it's a little switch, but even what I found was there was little things that I was missing. For example, with the program, there's little things like, for example, let's say somebody pauses their coaching access or they cancel. We obviously have to, that's a process. We got to remove them, add them back in. And it was messy for the last couple of months where we might just do it twice a month. So you've got people then where they're overstaying 2 weeks. There's just kind of this mess. Whereas that needs to be done every day. It only takes 5 minutes. But if we do it every 2 weeks, it feels like a big task, So if you can get clear on those little things, like for most people, that's the first thing, is just having clarity. Like clarity on what do we actually need to do each day. Then once you're doing it each day, you can start to see those tasks a bit more clearly to see like, is this actually needed, right? Because like some of the tasks I have, I'm like, look, some of these I don't think I need to do every day. I'm going to keep doing them every day, but I'll get to a point where I'll just outsource that. I'll just get a VA to do them, once a week, and fine from there. At least then we've got peace of mind knowing that it's happening. So yeah, guys, what I wanted to jump on here was the delivery. So I'll give you my thoughts, but I want you to just kind of like spew off. I'm your client, I come on board, walk me through what you're going to do, everything for me. So the trends, page optimization, all of that. Because if we can get this really clear, we can start to then see how do we split that for you guys so it's even enough, but not just even, but that you're focused on, again, the strengths. That's also just something to keep in mind. I know you were saying it there, James, of like, it might feel like the split's uneven, right? There are definitely going to be times in a partnership where it is going to be uneven, right? Like I can tell you for a fact, there was a point in our agency, we were doing probably, I'd say 45K a month, right? US. And at this point, again, I'm sales and marketing, but I had VAs doing all the outreach and I had a salesperson doing all the sales. What am I doing? Literally 30 minutes a day. I was just checking in with them, making sure all is good. The odd personalized Loom video I'd send to, say, a prospect, just to give that extra touch of, hey, I'm one of the founders. Here's a little thing that might get you across the line. So my input was 30 minutes a day. What was my business partner's? Well, he was still managing the team. He was still managing service delivery. He'd still be working 5-8 hours a day. And so we had a chat about that, but we were fine with it because it meant that there was months and essentially years before that where I was building that revenue, you know what I mean? So like none of the other business existed without that. So I wouldn't say we were like 100% clear on it, but we were, let's say, 90%. You know what I mean?
I suppose it's like as well, like understanding the value of some tasks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I know there's times where I've kind of been sitting there like, trying to figure out, well, how do I set this up? I might feel like he's just doing nothing there. You know what I mean? But it's understanding the value of that. Now that's not anymore. Earlier on, that was the kind of thing where it's not sales, it's not work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
if it's not sales, it's not work. But now we can see the
other
value
pieces.
Of the things that go behind the door, sort of. But
this might help. what you're probably looking at this from right now is time. As in, if Sean works 8 hours, I need to work 8 hours, right? That's probably the perception, the lens, which there's nothing wrong with it, but the problem occurs then when we don't actually have assigned the value to each task, right? Because there are going to be those days. Sean's just been productive. You were just locked in, you got your work done in 4 hours, heading off for the day. But you've done what you needed to do. You've provided the same level of value. Whereas James, you're going, fucking hell, he's skiving off. He's checking out the office early. So there's going to be a little bit of tension there, you know, if you're both seeing it on purely time input. Because the flip of that is like, let's say if you were split, like how I was split with my business partner, let's say I did 8 sales calls today and I had 4 days back to back with 8 sales calls and I brought in 5 new clients. In terms of value, that's fucking huge, right? Like that could be 3K a month recurring revenue. If they stay for 6 months, bloody hell, that's a lot of value. Whereas if he's working 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, he's going to see that and be like, hold on a sec, why are you working so little? But again, if the value makes sense, he's probably going to go, okay, that's fine though. Because I don't want to do sales calls and I don't want to be the one responsible for bringing that in. So I don't think there's any like action I would take for you guys on this, but just to kind of keep this top of mind. If you are feeling there's a little bit of, I'm doing more, you're doing less, have an open chat about it and look at this piece. Obviously look at the time, like you have to be realistic, because if you're going to get to this position of me and my partner, yeah, there's going to be a bit of tension, you know, because if I'm doing 30 minutes and he's doing 12 hours, it's obviously, he's going to seem unfair, right? But I feel like this will probably prevent quite a few of the little issues that are cropping up, so definitely keep it in mind. But yeah, let's jump into this. The reason I originally brought this up was because the service delivery as well, I want to make sure that we're not, again, just looking at this as time, as in like that the time is evenly split, but how can we find the value of each task? Almost, you know, you could almost do this of like ranking it 1 to 10 in terms of importance. So for example, if we take trends, in terms of getting a client really good results, which means they're going to stay long term and create a ton of value for the company, how important is spotting trends? And then we look at page optimization. How important is that? And if we can rank all of these, we can start to then see which of those are the most important and obviously which of you can provide the most value. So if you're good at the trends, there's no point of James doing the trends. Because in terms of value, you might have to spend 5 hours to create the same value for the trends that you might do in an hour, just because you can spot them, you get me? So yeah, just give me a breakdown on whatever else you feel is involved there.
I suppose, yeah, so trends, page optimization,
like the actual posting itself.
management of the pages, so like replying to DMs, replying to comments, sort of just engaging on the page, commenting on other people's stuff, liking stuff. That's what I suppose.
Yeah. Cool.
So like the content creation and stuff like that, like that's obviously the part of the service as well, creating the videos, but we hand all that off, like, but it's still part of the service.
Still a big process, yeah,
so like
still huge, man.
I suppose building out the content cameras is a task in itself.
Yeah. All right. So let's rank them. Content calendars. That's, to be honest, I would rank that as number 1 because that's where everything kind of starts, right? Like obviously the rest is kind of useless if we don't have that. So this is obviously number 1. Now the question I have then, because you mentioned that James kind of likes the content calendars, but trends, right?
That's what we're discussing. Like we are thinking, like now, if this is all about complicated things, fair enough. Like, I was thinking, like if I was to do like the trends and stuff and have sort of an idea of the competitor analysis and have that built out on sort of a Google sheet that James had access to. So basically all our clients, the trends that I think were related to them and the competitor analysis that can relate to them too would be built out on a sheet. And when James built the content calendars, he can pull out the sheet. He can basically, he'd be better off. He's better at sort of creating the ideas and having a look and thinking, oh, this looks good and that type of stuff.
Okay.
But like, what is that overcomplicating things? Like where we could basically have like me have all this analysis in one area, and then he can pick from that while he's building out the calendars.
Could definitely make sense. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't tried.
No, it's worth a try. Yeah. It's definitely worth a try, man. Like, I guess the issue I would potentially see is client comes on board, you know, like you're trying to build out. So you've got the trend sheet. obviously for you guys, clients are in different niches, you know, so you can't really, because my first thought was like, oh great, we could kind of have a system of each month you're just building out an entire kind of like trends bank almost, right? But obviously then if you got different niches and industries, not that feasible. So at that point then, I guess, yeah, where I feel like it might trip is just that lag of James is like, right, I want to crack on with the content calendar, but you're like, I haven't got the trends done yet because I have a bunch of other tasks I need to do. So there's going to be a lag there, but try it, definitely try it. It could work really well.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking when I was thinking about that as well, like I know like on like we do work in different niches, but like some trends are sort of universal to all clients.
Sure.
Like, and it's just like, can you fit them into this trend? If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, do you know, like especially on TikTok, there's some things that take off on TikTok that everyone jumps on and do on their own way. Like you even see companies like say Ryanair try to do it, or whatever trend is going, the companies that jump on. So I could have like a generic sort of trends sheet as well. From like the different platforms that I notice, and then he could be on the sheet saying, does this fit this client? Oh yeah, it does. You could do that. And I could maybe do it.
That's a great point, man. That is a great point. So like if you think that could work, it's definitely worth trying that, of build up like a generic bank each month. You probably would want to do it every month or every 2 weeks just to keep it fresh. Like eventually if you're getting somebody else to do that process for you, you could even do it weekly because you're going to find trends faster, right? But try it out, see if there's a big lag. It could work, but yeah, I can definitely see how it might be just crossing the wires a little bit too much, you know? Because like if you're both involved in service delivery, in my head, what would probably make the most sense is one person's more on trends, research, ideas, content calendars, getting all of that approved by the client, and then once it's approved, somebody else is then getting the team to create the graphics, scheduling the content, page management, and engagement. But even with that, and this is why I think long term it's going to be best to have a clear split, so like one person is more on service delivery, because let's say you've got the trends, James hops in, does the content calendars, but let's say then you're going to be the one dealing with the team, for example. Well, you don't have his brain, so when you see the content ideas, you have an idea, right? But like he obviously had a certain idea in his head when he was writing that, so it's probably going to be little things of like, you won't be able to communicate that to the team as well as he might be able to. So look, long term, I would definitely say a clearer split is going to be more peace of mind. Might be a learning curve, and there might be a couple of tasks you don't love, but it is going to be clearer. With this, I feel like it's almost like a game of tennis. Like there's a lot of back and forth. I've done this, now you take over this, now I'm going to hop in here. And that's just going to delay all your processes, especially when you bring in 4 clients in a week. You're going to be like, fuck man, this is chaotic. We're jumping a lot here, you know? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
or?
no, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Like there'd be too many tasks, like within the one sort of say service delivery, you're splitting up every single task rather than one person just saying, I'll do this and you do that.
Exactly, man. Because like really, as we say, simplicity scales, fancy fails. And it's true, man. Because like right now it might work very well. And I really do think in a partnership, there's going to be that point where I'm doing tasks that I like doing, that I'm good at, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what I should be doing. You know what I mean? Because if I'm, like for example, just in terms of my agency, I would say because I liked the sales process quite a lot, when there was, let's say, we had previously client issues, I would like dealing with it. Not like dealing with it, in fact I kind of hated it, but I knew I could get a better resolution than he could. He would be more hot-headed. So if a client said something he didn't like, he'd be like, literally, fuck off. Not actually, but that's how he would communicate. I'm there going, hey, let's have a call. Let's really understand this and figure out where to go from here. You know, so again, that would be a case of he would be able to deal with that, no problem, it's in his bucket. But I'm going to jump in and cross the wire there because we're going to lose a client if I don't hop in here, you know. So there's going to be some blur, but yeah. Like, do you feel like you have a bit more clarity on the structure?
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah, and look, you're going to have to test, of course, like that, trial it out.
Yeah, that's what,
you know?
Like, to be fair, like oftentimes like we'll give each other these roles and that's great, and then we come to the realisation here, I'm better off doing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Like when I feel like listen, I wish we were the type of people that we could just take like for your own word on it, go and do that immediately. That's what we were. But I often find we get things done better when we come to the realisation that you're actually much better at this than me, much better at this. And this is just, or even here, it just makes more sense for me to do this and for you to do that. Listen,